There was a yellow sticky note on the fridge. Eric, I've taken the boys and left. I need something different. Don't try to find me. That was it. No signature. No goodbye. Just 8 words, written in her clean, looping handwriting. The house was silent. Dead silent. The kind of silence that makes your ears ring. I stood there, still in my muddy work boots, holding a half-gallon of milk in one hand and a box of cereal in the other. The same box I almost didn't buy because my card got declined at Walmart 4 hours earlier. I thought it was a banking error. Hell, I even laughed to the cashier like it was some tech glitch. Must be fraud protection or something, I mumbled, pulling out my backup card. Declined, too. It was embarrassing, sure, but I didn't connect the dots right away. I thought I just needed to call the bank. I had no idea that while I was buying food for my sons, my wife Lena was draining every dollar we had in getting on a flight. I dropped the cereal and milk on the counter, opened the laptop. Bank account, $0. Savings account, empty. Emergency fund, closed. All gone. Even the little Venmo stash I used to squirrel away money from side jobs. Zeroed out. At first, I thought maybe she'd been robbed. Maybe someone hacked our accounts. But then I checked her closet. Empty. Drawers? Half empty. Our kids' school bags were gone. Their favorite toys, gone. The passports. The birth certificates. Everything. My hands went numb. I sank into the chair at the kitchen table like my spine had been ripped out. Just sat there, staring at that note. My legs bounced. My jaw clenched. I remember thinking, this has to be a mistake. I called her phone. Straight to voicemail. Called her sister. No answer. Called her mom. Voicemail again. Finally, I called Janelle, her best friend since college. She picked up. Hey Janelle, sorry to bother you, but do you know where Lena is? There was a pause. A long one. Then, Eric, I don't think I should be involved in this. What do you mean involved in what? Click. She hung up. And that's when the pit in my stomach opened wide. That night, I barely slept. I sat in the boys' room. Just sat there. Their bed still unmade from the morning before. One of Caleb's little Lego pieces was under my boot heel. I didn't even feel it. I was staring at their wall art, those stick figure drawings they made of the 3 of us. I wanted to believe she was just upset. That she'd show up the next day with some story about needing space. But in the pit of my gut, I knew this wasn't temporary. It was planned. The next day, Marcus, an old coworker of mine, sent me a photo. It was from Instagram. Lena, standing on a beach in the Bahamas, sunglasses on, cocktail in hand. The caption read, "New beginnings." Right there with our 2 boys. Smiling. Tanned. And standing next to some dude I'd never seen in my life. He looked about 28. Designer sunglasses. That smooth, well-fed look like he's never worked a day in the sun. The kind of guy who probably orders sparkling water with lime and calls it hydration. I felt my throat tighten. My hand started shaking. That post had 9 comments, all from her friends, cheering her on. "You deserve this, OMG finally, so happy for you." I read them all. Twice. Then I zoomed in on the guy's shirt. It was the exact same brand of work boots I'd been saving up to buy for the last 2 months. It was petty, maybe. But it felt like a knife. She was spending my money on this guy, buying him clothes, vacations, God knows what else, while I was boiling tap water for pasta and trying to figure out how I'd pay the electric bill next week. Over the next 2 weeks, more photos showed up. Miami. Cancun. A rooftop pool in Vegas. Trevor. That was his name. Trevor, because of course it was. He posted a video of himself with Caleb on his shoulders, laughing at some amusement park. "Being a stepdad is the best job in the world," the caption said. Stepdad. That word hit me like a brick. Because I sure as hell didn't sign off on that. At this point, I was spiraling. I tried to get a lawyer, but guess what? You need money to do that. I filed a police report. But legally, Lena hadn't broken any laws. The accounts were joint. The kids were hers, too. No custody agreement existed. No missing persons report would stick. I didn't even know what country they were in. She'd planned this with surgical precision. And the best I could do was sit in the kitchen and watch the light change across the tile as the day turned to night. A month later, I got served. Divorce papers. Filed from Florida. She was seeking full custody of the boys. And child support. That was the moment I stopped being sad. I didn't scream. I didn't punch a wall. I didn't throw anything. I sat down at the kitchen table, looked at the papers, and read every word. Every disgusting, self-serving sentence. Eric has been emotionally distant, financially controlling, often away from home. I hadn't been away. I was working. Pouring concrete in the heat so they could have a roof. I didn't drink. I didn't cheat. I didn't raise my voice. I was just trying to build a life for them. And she took that life. Every cent of it. Every picture on the fridge. Every little laugh and bedtime story. And handed it to Trevor. I didn't sign the papers. Not yet. Not because I had a plan. But because I wasn't ready to let them win. I didn't slam doors. Didn't yell. Didn't even respond. I just disappeared. Stopped going to work. Sold my truck. Packed up my tools and listed what I could on Craigslist. By the end of the week, the only thing I kept was a duffel bag and a shoebox of paperwork. The rental house echoed like a cave. It still had the same smell of peanut butter and kids' shampoo, but it felt like someone else's life now. Not mine. I left one photo on the fridge, me, Lena, and the boys at a Tennessee Titans game 3 years ago. Caleb on my shoulders. Mason in Lena's arms. All of us laughing. I stared at it for a long time before I left. Couldn't bring myself to take it down. I moved an hour away to a nameless little town where the streetlights flickered and the gas station coffee was brewed like punishment. Found a studio apartment above a closed-down laundromat. Rent was $400 a month and came with free ghosts. It was perfect. I deleted everything. Facebook. Instagram. LinkedIn. Wiped my Google account. No status updates. No healing journey. Just silence. But silence isn't surrender. Every morning I walk to the diner for coffee. Same booth. Same waitress. She never asked questions. I liked that about her. Every afternoon I sat at the county library. Their Wi-Fi was slow, but the computers were clean and anonymous. I searched her name. His name. Looked at tagged photos. Read captions. They weren't hiding. Lena had gone full influencer mode. She and Trevor were running a travel blog now. Life Unpacked. Header image, them holding hands in Santorini with my sons between them like matching accessories. The bio read. Single mom plus bonus dad. Raising little adventurers. One passport stamp at a time. Single mom. Like I'd stopped existing. And Trevor, he was everywhere. One post had a picture of him teaching Caleb to fish off a dock in Belize. The caption read. Dad tip, patience is everything. Let them come to you. Dad tip. That line stuck in my throat like broken glass. That's my line. I'd said that to Caleb 2 years ago, right before his first baseball tryout. He was nervous, pacing. I'd crouched down, looked him in the eye and told him that exact thing. Word for word. Now Trevor was out here plagiarizing my parenting like it was a Pinterest quote. I picked up my phone. Dialed Lena's number. It rang once. Then I hung up. Instead, I stared at the lock screen. 5 minutes later, I opened the Notes app. Typed. Step 1, let them spend. Saved it. Didn't write anything else. People started asking questions. Old friends. My mom. Guys from work. Where'd you go, man? You okay? You just gonna let this happen? I answered none of them. I'd become the ghost in my own life. And ghosts don't answer phones. But I watched. Every day. And they burned through my savings like it was Monopoly money. First-class flights. Beach resorts. Guided hiking tours in Patagonia. Matching Patagonia jackets. She must have thought she'd hit the jackpot. The working man who'd become an ATM. But Lena made one mistake. She thought I only had one bank account. She didn't know about the investment fund I'd opened the year Mason was born. She didn't know I'd put it under my brother's name, for tax shelter purposes. She didn't know it had been completely off-grid since day one. She thought she emptied me. But she never touched this. $38,421. I stared at that number like it was a loaded weapon. And I wasn't spending a dime. I was watching. Months passed. Her blog updates slowed. The photos changed, from sweeping beaches and rooftop cocktails to dimly lit diners and backyard selfies. Trevor stopped smiling in every frame. Caleb and Mason looked tired. Less sparkle, more staging. Then came the carousel photo. They were at Disney World. Caleb on the ride, Mason holding cotton candy. Both in matching shirts that said, "Family Forever." And there he was in the background, Trevor. Wearing my old flannel. Not one like it. Mine. He was holding Lena's phone, probably taking the next, spontaneous, photo. And on Caleb's head. My Tennessee Vols cap. The one I gave him before they left. The one I searched every drawer for. Something inside me tightened. Not rage. Not grief. I clicked off the screen and stood up. Walked out of the library. Bought a laptop on sale. The old kind. Spiral bound. Wide ruled. On the first page I wrote. Step 2, wait for the winter. Closed it. Put it in my coat pocket. By the holidays, their blog was dead. No new posts. The Instagram was private. Rumors started surfacing. Someone from Lena's old church messaged me anonymously. Saw her at the grocery store. She looked rough. Another message came a week later. Eric, I probably shouldn't be telling you this, but Trevor applied for a job at our dealership last week. Said he was in between opportunities. A third message. Thought you should know. Lena's renting out her old car on Turo. The Beamer. You okay, man? I didn't respond. Just updated the notebook. Step 3, let them feel the stretch. Then came the moment that changed everything. A photo popped up in a travel forum I follow anonymously. It was Lena, standing next to a real estate agent in front of a modest-looking townhouse in Tampa. Not the flashy skyline condo she once showed off. Not the ocean view spot from her stories. No kids in the photo. No Trevor. Just Lena. Caption. Fresh start. Time to rebuild. It had 2 likes. One was from an account named at Trev's New Chapter. I clicked it. Private. No bio. No profile picture. He was gone, too. I sat in the booth at the diner, hands around my coffee mug, watching the rain slide down the window. I opened the notebook. On a clean page, I wrote. Step 4, time to come home. Then I folded the pages back and smiled. Not a happy smile, but a quiet one. The kind you get when you've been patient long enough. And the storm is finally rolling in. I had one goal. Make them implode from the inside, without ever touching them. No messages. No phone calls. No contact. Just a quiet, patient unraveling. Everything I'd done so far, the silence, the disappearing, the withdrawal, it wasn't surrender. It was step 1. Watching. Step 2. Waiting. Because pressure breaks people faster than punches ever will. It started with little things. A photo disappeared off Lena's Instagram. The one of Trevor teaching Caleb to fish in Belize, with that smug, dad tip, caption he stole from me. Gone. No explanation. No comments. Just wiped clean. Then another. The carousel shot from Disney World, deleted. The matching, family forever, shirts. Gone. So were half of their sponsored posts. It looked like a rebrand, but to me, it looked like a panic cleanse. I checked the blog. Life Unpacked. Still offline. The error page was new. Temporarily unavailable while we make some exciting changes. I'd seen that lie before. It was the digital version of I'm fine. Trevor was next. A post surfaced in a private parenting forum, screenshot forwarded by someone who used to work at the same creative agency as Lena. Has anyone worked with Trevor from Life Unpacked? He ghosted our brand after taking the upfront fee. Now his email's bouncing. Another thread popped up on Reddit. Is it illegal to use kids in paid content without being a legal guardian? They weren't calling them out by name yet, but the whispers were growing. I didn't comment. I just wrote in the notebook. Step 3, let their image rot. A week later, Ronnie, my old concrete foreman, called me out of the blue. Eric, you sitting down? Yeah. You remember that guy, Trevor? I didn't answer. He applied for a job at my cousin's startup. Listed himself as CEO of Life Unpacked. Claimed he built it from scratch. Said he had a partnership with Google Family and Levi's. Did they buy it? Ronnie chuckled. Nah. Someone did a background check. His company was just a Squarespace blog. No LLC. No verified deals. Nothing. The guy was selling coaching packages and couldn't explain a single invoice. They called him out during the second interview. Then what? He left. Said, and I quote, "You can't recognize vision when it's in front of you." We both laughed. It felt good to laugh. That night I wrote. Step 4, isolate the visionary. The public stuff came next. A local news clip surfaced from a Tampa affiliate. I got the link from someone who knew I'd want to see it. It showed Lena and Trevor walking out of a courthouse. Lena in dark glasses. Trevor looking like he'd aged a decade. The headline read, Instagram family faces lawsuit over brand fraud, unauthorized child use in ads. I watched it 3 times. The voiceover explained it all. 2 companies were suing them for failing to deliver paid promotional content. Lena was being investigated for exploiting minors in monetized media without clear consent. Trevor was being accused of falsifying metrics to secure paid partnerships. None of that came from me. I hadn't tipped anyone off. But someone had. Maybe one of the brands. Maybe a disgruntled fan. Maybe just karma. Didn't matter. All I had to do was let it happen. Then came the moment I'd waited for. I saw Lena. In person. I just stepped out of the bank, late afternoon, sun sharp and low, and there she was. Coming down the opposite sidewalk. Alone. No Trevor. No kids. She didn't see me right away. Her head was down. Purse clutched tight, moving fast. But when she looked up, she stopped cold. It wasn't a dramatic movie moment. No screaming. No confrontation. But her hand twitched, just a flicker, and she looked around like someone else might have seen me too. Like she was caught. Her lips parted, like maybe she had something to say. But she didn't. She turned and speed-walked the other way, almost tripping over the curb. And I just stood there, hands in my pockets, watching. Not angry. Not smug. Just, calm. Because in that moment, I knew. She was rattled. Not because of something I did. But because I was still here. And she didn't know what that meant. 3 days later, Trevor deleted his entire online presence. His Instagram. Gone. The LinkedIn account where he'd listed himself as CEO, travel strategy, with fake testimonials. Deleted. But not before one last comment was screenshotted and sent to me. "You're a joke, man. You ripped off your own followers and used kids for clout. Hope it was worth it." I don't know who posted it. But it had 300 likes in under an hour. One of the replies. "His name's not even on the LLC." I leaned back in my booth at the diner and read that line twice. Trevor wasn't just humiliated. He was erased. All that swagger. The bonus dad captions, the beach photos, the designer sunglasses and rented charisma. Gone. Now he was just another dude with no job, no clout, and no legacy. All he had left was Lena. And something told me that wasn't going to last long either. I opened the notebook. The last page read. Step 5, let the cracks show. I turned the page. Wrote slowly. Step 6, time for the reveal. Then I closed it. Because the next move wasn't a whisper. It was the storm. The email didn't come from her old lawyer. This one was newer, probably cheaper, based on the Gmail address and the unprofessional formatting. No bold headers, no veiled threats, just a wall of soft language trying to disguise desperation. My client wishes to reopen negotiations regarding custody and child support. She is open to exploring a more flexible, shared parenting agreement. There may be logistical and financial considerations that have changed since the original filing. Translation. She was bleeding out. The money was gone. The image had cracked. And she needed help from the man she tried to erase. I didn't reply right away. I sat with it for a bit. Read it twice. Then walked outside and took the longest breath I'd had in months. Not relief, not celebration, just air. Real air. Cold, sharp, quiet. I hadn't noticed how much of life I'd spent lately just holding it in. That breath reminded me that I was still here. Still standing. I poured coffee. Sat at the kitchen table. Opened the notebook. Page by page, I traced the plan that had taken a year to execute, not a line crossed, not a single loud move. Just pressure. Time. Patience. The first steps had been nothing more than observation. I needed to see what they'd do once they thought I was out of the way. And they didn't disappoint. Lena burned through the savings like it would replenish itself. Trevor posted pictures like he was building a legacy. But you can't fake structure. And eventually, every pretty stage collapses when there's no foundation underneath. Step 5 had been isolation. Step 6 had been silence. But this was different. We were past slow damage now. This was the collapse. The custody hearing was set on a Tuesday morning. Small room. Fluorescent lighting. Wood panels so fake you could see the laminate peeling. I wore a plain gray shirt and dark jeans. No tie. No drama. Just me, a folder of documents, and a calendar cleared for the rest of the day. Lena arrived 5 minutes late. Hair tied back. Minimal makeup. A blazer that didn't quite fit the way her old ones used to. She kept her eyes forward, lips tight. But I saw the way her hand gripped her phone like it was a railing on a sinking ship. I looked for Trevor, half wondering if he'd swagger in like old times, try to own the room with that smug aura he always wore like cologne. But he didn't show. Cowards rarely do when the mask falls off. Her lawyer, young guy, probably mid-30s, sweating through his collar, started with a gentle tone. Your Honor, my client recognizes that prior arrangements may have been aggressive. She now believes a shared custody structure would be in the best interest of the children. The judge looked at me. Mr. Dawson, do you have a response? I stood, handed over the folder. No response. Just information. Inside were 12 months of records, flights paid for from joint accounts, brand contracts where Lena signed alone but featured both kids, posts with monetized captions and no disclosure, receipts showing luxury hotels days after she filed claims of financial hardship. All sourced legally. All compiled quietly. None of it fabricated. Just held until it mattered. As the judge read, Lena didn't move. But her foot started bouncing. Her lawyer leaned in and whispered something. She nodded without looking. When it came time for her to speak, she tried. Tried to pull together some kind of apology, some statement about wanting peace, about doing her best for the boys. But the judge stopped her. Ms. Dawson, I have everything I need. And that was it. Custody was awarded 50-50. No child support. No retroactive payments. No spousal support. The judge deemed us independent and capable. I didn't smile. Didn't gloat. Just nodded. Because the truth was, I wasn't there to punish her. I was there to restore balance. We left the room in silence. Her lawyer peeled off to talk to a clerk. I headed for the exit. Then I heard her footsteps behind me. Eric. I stopped. She caught up, slower now, not rushing. Her voice was soft, but shaky. Not performative like before, this wasn't for show. This was the voice of someone unraveling at the seams. You waited this whole time, didn't you? I didn't answer. Just looked at her. Her hand reached for the elevator button. Missed. Tried again. Missed a second time. That little tremble, that was the moment. Not the courtroom. Not the ruling. That shake in her hand was when it all hit her. She wasn't outplayed. She was dismantled. Piece by piece. Softly. Quietly. Completely. She took a breath. Not the composed kind. The kind that sounds like it hurts. I thought you gave up. I did, I said. On you. The elevator dinged. She didn't step in. Just looked at me. You did this. Every message. Every contract that fell through. Every brand that pulled out, was that you? I shrugged. They asked questions. I didn't stop them. Her eyes narrowed. You could have ruined me completely. No, I said. You did that yourself. She stared at me for a long second. Then whispered, you waited. I didn't say anything back. Just stepped past her, walked toward the parking lot. The boys were waiting. That night, I got home, fed the kids, cleaned up the living room, then sat on the couch as they fell asleep watching cartoons. It had been a long day. A long year. But for the first time in a long time, there was no noise in my head. No echo of questions. No internal monologue playing scenes I couldn't change. Just stillness. I got up. Walked to the kitchen. Opened the drawer. Pulled out the notebook. Flipped to the final page. Wrote. Step 7, come back quietly. And I stared at that for a while. Not because I needed to memorize it. I already knew every word. But because it was real now. The war was over. The noise had stopped. And I hadn't yelled. Hadn't fought. Hadn't begged. I just let gravity do its job. The truth is, she never saw it coming. Never noticed the cracks forming beneath her feet. Never thought to question why brands backed out, why fans turned, why even her own sister started acting cold. She blamed stress. Blamed luck. Blamed Trevor. But she never once looked behind the curtain. Never wondered who pulled the string that made it all fall. And that's what made it work. Every message. Every broken contract. Every whispered tip or odd coincidence she chalked up to bad timing, they were all by design. They weren't just accidents. They were architecture. I didn't forge documents. I didn't hack accounts. I didn't lie. I just curated the truth. Piece by piece. Until the truth did the work for me. She thought she left me behind. She thought she replaced me. But I wasn't gone. I was in the inbox she forgot to check. In the contract clause she didn't read. In the silent reactions of people she thought were still loyal. I was never missing. I was watching. And when the time was right, I made sure everyone else started watching too. So no. I never raised my voice. I didn't have to.